In case you haven't heard, Haven is going bye-bye. Literally, we will not be able to play Haven in the competitive rotation for much longer as Icebox is making its way back into the competitive queue, which is actually exciting because Icebox, oh my goodness, by the time it's back, we will actually be way too close to 1 year since we played that map in competitive. That is mind-boggling. Nearly a full year is... it opens up a discussion. That's what it does. It opens up a discussion. Now, in case you don't know, Icebox should be rumored returning with some reworks. Here are a bit of those reworks. You can tell right here. And yes, I'm excited. I'm hyped, but that's not exactly what this video is about. I always like to cover a little bit of the news, but go on a yapathon because it is an important discussion. What the heck is going to happen when Riot adds another map? Because already with the previous map that was added being Sunset, they had to rotate one map out, rotate a second map out just to bring an old map in plus the new map. What happens next time? Do we get one map out and another second map out? Will they do a triple rotation? What's gonna go on long term? Because unlike agents, which is an entirely different discussion I had the other day, how many agents can Riot add, blah, 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 blah. Maps are a little bit more indefinite, okay? So Riot can continue to add maps for the foreseeable future. Now, I'm not saying they should spam them because any amount of loot, especially if not high quality, will hurt a game. That's not what I'm trying to say. But I think most of us can understand, especially within a rotation, Riot can add maps for a while. However, there's just something to be said about a map being gone for that long. Now, thankfully, in stuff like Swift Play and for us casual players like myself, we can still enjoy the map and it does come into rotation. So I'm not upset about that. You know what I mean? That's good. That's chill. I think no matter what, the more maps, the better when it comes to casual players. But even ranked does tend to get stale. I would propose to very soon up the amount of maps in rotation just to accommodate future maps, at least by one for a little bit and eventually another bit. But maybe there's just a better solution, like a ban system, maybe, you know what I mean? Like some sort of ban system could be good so you can keep all the maps in rotation, keep things a lot more fresh. And the reason I say that is because I don't genuinely believe map rotations are healthy for the game. They're only healthy for the top level of play, right? I understand map rotations set for pro play and then they decided to lock them with ranked so that our ranked matches flow with professional play. And I understand it's nice for people who are actually into professional play, but for people like me who really just don't care at all, it harms the ranked experience as well. And the vast majority of people, like it or not, do not watch professional play. I know it seems weird because it seems so part of the culture. And if you're watching this channel or you spend any time on Twitter, you're probably already used to just professional play going hand in hand with Valorant. But it's just not the case for a vast majority of just golds or plats or silvers who are just trying to grind the game and enjoy that competitive niche that Valorant is without professional play. And I think a map ban system that allows map rotations to be more like TLDR, we shouldn't have spent nearly a year without Icebox. It's a map that's already designed. It's already in the game. It could have stayed in the game. It could have been launched with a rework into the new act. That's still exciting. It doesn't have to leave competitive queue for it to return all special and new, because that means you didn't play the old Icebox a year ago and you won't play it again. You know what I'm trying to say? It's not the healthiest system long term. That's my opinion. Now, another key point in this discussion is the future in general when it comes to Valorant maps. Here is just more mock-up style stuff. This is, of course, not a real Valorant map. However, with that being said, there's just a couple things that I like to think about, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to cross the line that most of you do not want me to cross. I'm going to talk a little bit about Counter-Strike 2. Oh, no. Now, here it is. I am someone who did not play Counter-Strike nor Counter-Strike 2. I only played it at launch to get an idea of what this game is about. I have historically, of course, I know about Counter-Strike. I've tried it out a long time ago, blah, 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 but I wasn't a Counter-Strike player. I didn't play ranked. I didn't understand the intricacies of the game. However, with Counter-Strike 2, I took the time to genuinely play it, understand the game, its mechanics, blah, 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 blah. I had a whole in-depth video about it, but we're not going to get into that. What we're trying to get into is just draw comparisons when it comes to Counter-Strike 2 maps and Valorant maps. Now, something that was always said, always, is that Counter-Strike 2 or Counter-Strike maps are superior to Valorant. And to some extent, I was always like, yeah, okay, I mean, if you say so, but I didn't know firsthand until I played Counter-Strike. Listen, I did not play this game, meaning I am a little bit of a lost puppy on these maps, just trying to figure out my way through them. Yet still, something about them felt natural. Yet still, something about them felt so much more detailed and complex. I'm not talking about graphically, I'm talking about possibilities. When it comes to Counter-Strike, the way that windows work, the way that vents work, the way that so many things work in the game makes a much more cohesive and interesting map with such intense gameplay. And I was blown away. Keep in mind, I like Valorant 10 times more. I don't even like Counter-Strike, but I need to appreciate the map design in Counter-Strike. Now, we can't draw comparisons one-to-one because Valorant features abilities that are quite chaotic, meaning too many tight spaces in Valorant is a death sentence. You can't do that one-to-one. However, they can probably get a little bit more creative, and let me explain why. We're going to draw a comparison to Pearl. I mentioned a vent. The closest thing I can even think about is Pearl when we crouch into water. That's it. This little freaking thing is pretty much the deepest vent Valorant has. And if you really think about it, all it is like an inconvenience. You just gotta just to crouch through spawn. It's quite literally an inconvenience, and they put it all the way at spawn, so it's used very sparingly. You don't see much gameplay happening here. Yes, you do. You do see it, but it's not very frequent, right? And every time there is something cool in a map, it is always put to the side away from the action where it's not a core mechanic. And any core mechanic in the map ends up being somewhat like a gimmick. Like Bind with a teleport does make Bind very unique, and I don't mind this gimmick. This is actually spices up Bind to me, right? Fracture shook things up like crazy. People hated Fracture, and now some people have actually grown to like Fracture quite a lot. I know not all of you do. Some people will disagree with me, but I think its uniqueness is extremely special. Sunset was bare bones. Sunset I praised, and for good reason. It let Valorant as the gameplay itself shine a lot. However, Valorant also needs balance, meaning we need maps to do both. Icebox, in my opinion, is quite beloved by a lot of people, including myself, because of its verticality, right? Icebox is actually one of the better maps in the game. We have Kitchen, which is, I guess, as close to vents as I can think of. We have a lot of tube areas. We have a lot of open quarters, but then we have a lot of verticality. And the reworked Icebox coming might make it one of the best maps in the game. We have to see when it launches, but it might literally make it one of the best maps in the game because it stands tall in being a little bit different in how you play. Let's say you play Omen. When I play Omen on Icebox, it's so fun. So many different lineups, so many things you can do. Just watch Grim. Watch Grim and his walls on Icebox. Some of the craziest ones, some of the coolest stuff happen on Icebox. Even Jet double updraft before she got nerfed had a lot of unique spots. Like Icebox, a map that is unique enough to give the ability for it to be played in lots of ways is enticing. As much as simple maps have their place, a unique map is enticing. And I'd like to see Valorant try a few more things. I'd like to see maps get a little bit crazier. I'd like to see maybe in a full indoor map that's like almost like office building style, just change it up. You know what I mean? Like even just visually, we can change it up a little bit. Still the same Valorant graphic style, but we don't need to always be hiding behind a textureless gray box or like a glowing green box. You know what I mean? Like you can change things up a little bit. These half covers, these, you know what I mean? It's always a screen as well. A screen's another one, just screens everywhere. Change it up. Change up, it helps a lot. Change up the layout, change up the way it flows, change up the styling, change it up, and it will help a lot. So those are my two biggest things in this video. One, change it up, and two, include all the maps, or at least more maps. I'd like to see all the maps. Some people will disagree. I think a ban system or some other system that maybe I didn't think about would work better. Being more inclusive in the maps keeps the game fresher and more unique. People complain about ranked being stale. More maps does help a little bit. It just does. It just frankly does. Instead of getting Sunset 3 times in a row, you get all the maps in the game. It helps out. That's my opinion. Let me know what you think. Okay, bye.